What's good, Livewire fans? All right, so I want to talk about the X factor of the Indiana Fever New York Liberty game, and the young lady that you see on my screen is Miss Lexie Hall. Yes, Lexie Hall. Um, she's she's special. She's out of Stanford. She played with Cameron Brink. She's been with the Fever last year. I think she got drafted with them 2 years ago. I think this is her third year with them. Not sure. Um, but Lexie Hull, she was a starter with, like I said, she was a starter with them last year. She started 25 games. Um, so she's familiar with Christy size, but she's young. I think she's like um 20, 23, 24, somewhere around there. But Lexie Hall's skill set is what we need on this team. Now, early in the season, she really didn't get that much playing time, here and there. She couldn't really find a footing, until later on in the season that they changed a lot of things. They got a fan favorite, Celeste Taylor, who I think could have really put this team over, especially with if you starting Lexi and you bring in Celeste off the bench. Oh my God, that just imagine how well their defense would have been completely, especially a lot against a lot of these tough teams. But if you checked out one of my videos last week, I was talking about Tammy and Lexie Hall starting in the starting lineup. So we play the Aces. Katie Lou got to start. We play the Liberty. Katie Lou got to start again. But for some reason, this game was a little bit different in the rotation, the subbing, and everything like that. Now, we know Christy size. She can mess some stuff up. Let's not get it twisted. She can mess some stuff up. But this time around, she really kind of stuck to her guns. Because the fact of the matter is, she didn't allow Erica Wheeler much minutes. She didn't allow Chrissy Wallace a lot of minutes. They just came in here and there to give a breather, and they was right back out the game. But Lexie Hall showed me a whole lot of what I have been advocating for her for. Now, a lot of people wasn't high on her all year because she couldn't knock down shots. And that's still an issue. And I think that will come the more she plays and the more she get her confidence. The more a person plays and the more a person get their confidence, they are going to find a way. And once she start knocking down shots, it's going to really put the Indiana Fever in a place where Caitlyn's job is going to be completely easy, because then you're going to really have to pay attention to people. Similar to like how Johnson came in, a lot of people kept questioning it. I kept going back and kept telling y'all, watch film on Damaris Dantes. She has a special skill set that's going to vibe with CC's. Now, but I will get to Damaris in a separate video because I don't want to spend too much time talking about her. I want to focus this video completely on Lexi. Lexi, she could dribble. She could drive to the basket, as we seen in the New York game. She got a rebound. Melissa Smith sealed the defender. She came around, came for the layup, and got the I believe she got the a foul on that play. Then she took one drive around the basket with a reverse. So the opportunities that Lexi is going to get is going to help the Fever. And like I said, she does, just like Katie Lou, just like Tammy Finnegan, they all provide great screening for Caitlyn. So this is where I talked to y'all about the first time about Lexie Hall didn't play in that Aces game, and she leads the Fever in offense and net rating. That means when she's on the floor, she's effective. The things that she does is very effective. You know what I'm saying? And just with that, I want to show you how effective she is. All right. So if you're looking at that screen right there, that's the lineup. That's the lineup with Lexie Hall in the game. If you look at the net rating is at a 59.1. That means their defense is holding the opposition to a standstill. You know what I'm saying? The opposition is either getting one shot and there's a rebound and the Fever is going the other way, and or they keeping them where they're running out the clock and they can force them into a shot clock violation. So if you look at the list down from the bottom where it was when Mitchell, Samuelson, Smith, Boston, and Clark was on the floor, there was their net rating was a minus 24 0.7. But the Fever also had the lead with that lineup too. They didn't slow the defense. They didn't slow the New York Liberty down as much. But then if you look at it, when Tammy, Finnegan, Mitchell, Samuelson, Boston, and Clark is in there, it's a minus 18. So it goes down just a little bit. It's still high. You know what I'm saying? The more you in the plus, the better it is. You know what I'm saying? The minuses is kind of bad. And if you look at each lineup as it continues to go, you see the improvement as it goes. You know what I'm saying? But the best lineup is when Mitchell, Smith, Hall, Boston, and Clark is on the floor. And that was the recipe in the fourth quarter against the Liberty. If you notice, Lexie Hall was in the game probably, I think she was in the game the third quarter and in the start of the fourth quarter. So she played down the whole fourth quarter, and she was effective because she was able to run for defense. She was able to gauge spacing. She was able to, because if you notice how they used to put Caitlyn in the corner, now they put Lexie Hull in the corner. But the thing about it, Lexie is good on defense. She gives a different energy on the floor. She's fast, she's quick, you know, and that helps out with, especially with Kelsey Mitchell, who's a shorter defender, who's not a great defender. So she could take the opposition. Now, I said this before because now looking at the lineup and looking at how the things may be. So I want to show you another thing real quick before I get really deep into what I want to talk about. Now, if you look at that, look at the net rating for the Fever in that game. Lexie Hall and Clark have a net of 9.3. That is damn good. That is really damn good right there. And if you look at everybody that's with Clark, it's all in the minuses. You know what I'm saying? So, and look at the offensive rating and defensive rating also at the same time, how well it goes it is. See, the thing about it is we was calling for Christy size to figure out the lineup. And this is where now this is at the point where I feel this is going to serve. Now, if you're not going to start Lexie Hall and you're going to continue to start Katie Lou Samuelson, this is how your lineup should go. Should be Clark, Samuelson, Mitchell, Boston, and Smith. Now, the key thing is, as soon as Damaris Dantas get her speed up, because she's running the same pace how Aaliyah Boston was in the beginning, but once she could get on the floor more and get her speed up more, she's going to be fine. And she came in roughly probably about 3 or 4 minutes into the fourth quarter to give Aaliyah Boston a break, because you got to think, Aaliyah Boston 6'5", Damaris Dantas and Tammy Finnegan, they're 6'3". 6'4". So you could have that in and out game, because then you could use Nalissa Smith in Boston spot. You know what I'm saying? As the low post person. And then Damaris Johnson could take the role of Alyssa Smith being out on the wing and in the mid-range area where she could hit them shots and threes. And then plus she could do um the high-low screen with Caitlyn Clark. So this my thing is this here. I think if you go sub her out with Damaris Johnson. Sub out with Damaris Johnson, then you could probably have Tammy Finnegan. You could either start her sometime or you don't have to start her sometime. You could sub her out with Alyssa Smith. Then if you start Katie Lou, sub her out with Lexie Hall. Then if you're going to bring Wheeler in the game, Wallace in the game, then you can sub her out with Mitchell. But I would continue to keep Wallace on the bench further down because she's a liability on the floor. She doesn't score. She doesn't play defense as well. I will try to start utilizing Grace Berger a little bit. Bring Grace Berger in as a substitute because she can score. She can't shoot as well as Mitchell, but she could score in the mid-range area and she could dribble and she could feed off of Clark or whoever. Then you could use Wheeler as the person to run the second unit when Clark gets a short breather. That's what I would do. I would bring Grace Berger in if you're going to, because then you could still have a defensive presence on the floor also with an offensive present person because Grace Berger can play a little bit defense. So I would love to see Grace Berger get a little bit of time because then that will help your unit out. And then when you into games that either if you leading or you trying to get back into a game and you need defense stop, then you go with the unit that you just presented with Lexie Hall, with Smith, with Boston, with Mitchell, with Clark. Then you have a unit that could defend and put points up at the same time. So I think anytime you going down into the fourth quarter, even if you leading or you down, I will use that lineup down in the fourth quarter all the time. I would never change that lineup in the fourth quarter. I would run that lineup. I will let Katie Lou get her minutes throughout the game, start and then throughout the game. And then fourth quarter, I will put my best defensive people on the floor and my best scoring people on the floor at the same time. And then I just run it all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. And then you see what you got. But I do believe Dante's coming in to give Leah Boston some blow time, and you can mix her up with Alyssa Smith on the floor. And then when Boston come back, you could probably take Alyssa Smith out and put Tammy Finnegan in there. Then you still don't lose that running transition offense that you have because it all meshes the same way. You know what I'm saying? Long as Clark is on the floor. Then when Clark is on the floor, you kind of have to drill and wheel ahead and say, hey, you assume the role of Caitlyn. Don't try to make fancy passes. Just run the offense until I could give her a blow for about at least 2 minutes or so. The same thing with Mitchell. Now they bring Wallace in. I still don't like that. Like I said, I don't like that at all. I will try to elevate Grace Berger a little bit. I want to see what Grace Berger could do off the bench defensively a little bit more because she had some time early in the season. She did ran the bench a little bit. But she got hurt the knee. Now there hasn't been any word on her at all. But my thing is, if you decide to start Lexie Hull over Samuelson, then you could use Samuelson to come in off the bench to spare her. So you could flip-flop it. And honestly, I do believe that could be a great starting point to start the game. And it all depends on matchups, how you match up. And especially like you play in Minnesota in a couple of games. I would definitely start Lexie Hall in that game because then you have to deal with McBride, Collier, and then that 1 point guard that's really, she's kind of quick. But like I said, it's all about matchups. It's how you're gonna match up. Now, when you play Washington and then you play Phoenix on Friday, you definitely could use Katie Lou in there to start the game out. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong. And then you could give her a break and bring Lexie Hall in like you did in the first quarter and the second quarter. So you can split their time up. But I do believe Lexie Hall should, ooh, excuse me. I do believe Lexie Hall should get the most time because her presence on the floor is really great for the chemistry for Caitlyn Clark because Caitlyn is starting to trust her teammates a little bit more, and she like playing with certain people because it helps the flow of the game. It helps the transition, especially when you get a rebound and you're pushing up the other end of the floor. So I always kept saying that Lexie Hall is really, like I said, if Lexie Hall start knocking down her shots from the outside, she definitely gonna be deadly. It's going to really be deadly because you already got Melissa Smith can shoot from the outside. You got Boston shoot from the inside. Melissa Smith shoot from the inside. Mitchell shoot from the outside. Clark definitely shoots from the outside. Damaris Johnson shoot from the outside. Katie Lou shoot from the outside. And this is what a lot of us been talking about in the beginning of the season, that this team needed 3-point shooting. And something I stress a lot more is that they needed bench scoring. They need a lot of bench scoring. And whatever Wheeler could give you is good. And if you're not gonna start Katie Lou or if you're not gonna start Lexie Hall and she give you production off the bench, especially scoring wise, along with her defense, that's a plus. The Indiana Fever against the New York Liberty had, I think, 13 or 16 points off the bench. That's good. Anytime your bench can produce like that, that's a recipe for winning games. You know what I'm saying? Because then you don't have to rely so much on your starters to produce a lot, even though they produce almost 60, 65, 80, well, I'll say about 90% of the offense. You know what I'm saying? So if your bench could give you some good minutes and give you some good points off there, that's always going to be a recipe to win games. So it's up to Christy size how she's going to continue this down the road. But I do believe that once Tammy Finnegan come back, that's going to be add another element between her and Alyssa Smith, or she could have, Dantes relieve Alyssa Smith, Boston be on the floor, or however you. It's the four bigs on the floor between Dantes, Alyssa Smith, Tammy Finnegan, and Aaliyah Boston. You could match how you want them to go. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, if Tammy Finnegan comes back healthy, then you could utilize her on the floor with Melissa Smith, or you could use Dantes on the floor with Leah Boston. It don't matter how you do it, as long as you have one person out there to run screens and throw, because Leah Boston's going to run the floor. If you get Dantes up to speed to run the floor with her, then you got two bigs that can run the floor. Then guess what's going to happen? Your transition offense is going to get a little bit more faster, because then the other team is not going to be able to keep up with them bigs like that. And then when you got Boston down there or Alyssa Smith down in the bottom, like I was saying, you could actually have somebody like Damaris Johnson that does really good screening, and then boom, you have it right there. So again, I like what I've seen for Lexie Hall. I think she's a great X factor. I think she brings a whole lot to the game. I wish we still had kept Celeste Taylor and got rid of Victoria Saxon. Then you really would have had a lot going on defensively, because then you could probably have Celeste Taylor sub out Mitchell and then have her on the floor with Caitlyn, and have her mixed with Wheeler. Then you really would have something special then. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, that's how I feel about the lineup. That's how I feel about Lexie Hall. I think Lexie Hall excuse me. I think Lexie Hall brings a whole lot to the game, with her shooting, her defense, her the way she spaces the floor, the way she pick screen for Caitlyn. So that all of that stuff pans out, and that she does the intangibles. She does the little things. Like they say how Angel Reese do the dirty things. That's what Lexie Hall does. She does the dirty things. You're saying she comes in, she's gritty, she fights, she gets up in you. You know what I'm saying? She's like a gnat. She's all over you, you know, where you can't shake her. You know, so and she don't mind taking the hardest assignment. So that's what I look at. But at the same time, we have to see how Christy Sides runs it, because we are, like I said again in the beginning, we already know Christy Sides would mess up something in a minute. She definitely would mess up a lot. So, but if Christy Sides take what she learned from this Indiana game, this Liberty game, and apply it to the rest of her games, she'll be successful all the way down. Guarantee you. But until then, continue to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Until then, this is your boy Livewire Sports. I'm out. Peace.